So in this problem, very similar to the previous one, you have a volume formula here. The volume is pi r squared times h. This is the volume of a cylinder. Now the difference between this and the sphere is that you have one dimension being squared and the other one just occurring in here, and those two are being multiplied together. So it's not going to be as identical to the sphere, like whenever you, if you only change one of these two units, if you only change the radius, that's going to cause one multiplier for the volume, whereas if you do the height only, that's going to be a different multiplier. And of course, if you do both by the same amount, then it's going to have more of a cubic effect because you're squaring this one and multiplying that one. So this one here, because you have two different dimensions operating more or less independently in this formula, that's going to cause some differences between this and the sphere. So the original volume, as you can see by the formula, is pi r squared times h. When you double the height only, you're going to be multiplying this by 2. So you're going to have pi r squared times 2h, which if you simplify this is going to be 2 pi r squared h, which is 2 times the amount you have up here. So the volume that you had originally is being multiplied by 2. Whereas if you only double the radius, you're doing 2r instead of r, and you're squaring that, but because you're squaring this also gets squared. So it ends up being 4 pi r squared h, which is 4 times the original volume. If you double both, this is now 2r, this is now 2h, and then when you simplify that, that's going to give you the 4, that's going to give you another times 2, so you're going to have 8 pi r squared h, which is 8 times the original amount. And it works the same way whenever you're shrinking as well. If you multiply the height by 1/3, that means this is going to be 1/3 the height. It's also going to have 1/3 the original volume. It's 1/3 that original volume, so this would be 1/3. Likewise, for the radius, this is going to be squared now. When you square 1/3, you get 1/9. So it's going to be 1/9 the original volume, and that's because of this being squared. So generally, whatever is occurring, you have to pay attention to the exponent, and if that's being altered by a certain fraction, you have half as much, a third as much, 2 times as much, 4 times, whatever the case may be. You're gonna either square it for a radius, or you're gonna just multiply that multiplier for a height. Of course, if you do both, you end up with 1/27th pi r squared h, which is 1/27th the original volume. So that is the end of this example, and that is the end of this video. If you have any additional questions, please make sure to bring them up during class.